You're curious if you know and have a relationship with and thoughts on a fellow Angeline, Robert F. Kennedy, and his nomination. What are your thoughts on him?
I think people misunderstand Bobby Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy. He's really all about the science. I've sat down with him, met with him for the first time. I've not known him until I sat down with him because I wanted to understand what he was thinking. And after hours of sitting down with him, I was so impressed. He knows more about the science than most doctors. What he says, let me give you some examples about this red dye, blue dye, etc. We, I tweeted, that's been published for 12 years in very reputable journals that they're carcinogenic. Now think about this. We know for 12 years they're carcinogenic. The Europeans know they're carcinogenic. Guess what the Europeans do? They ban it. So I went to London and found a food, a candy, and called I won't name the company so I don't get them into trouble. The candy and the company, the same candy in the US, and I put them together. The UK, zero food coloring. Coloring comes from vegetables, beets, etc. In the US, it's all this red dye, blue dye. Why do we allow, when we know scientifically that there's carcinogens in the things we're giving to our children, and in the UK and Europe, they banned it, but we allow it? Why? Now, I said, why don't we just say that? When he talks about vaccines and the polio vaccine, etc., the word goes out. There's no way he wants to ban the polio vaccine. He's talking about some of the old versions of it that happen to have mercury in it. We all know there's mercury that causes deficiencies. And if you can take the mercury out, which you can, and they've done. So again, people conflate this politically. So I'm here to say that not only I've sat down with him, heard him, completely understand the science that he's worried about. Now we talk about the COVID vaccine. What he's worried about, and I was worried about, and we have that as maybe a separate discussion one day. During the Trump administration, Sean, and you were there during that time, they did an amazing job in creating this COVID vaccine quickly so we can actually reduce death. Fine. But there was also another opportunity more to have a better vaccine that would clear the virus. So to most lay people, they don't understand what it means to clear the virus, meaning you can get an infection and not die because you mitigated it with these antibodies. But unless you then clear it from your body, then you're going to have long COVID. Now we have 16 million Americans with long COVID. People know about long COVID. It's like saying you're going to have hepatitis. Well, you want to clear that virus. It's like saying you have HPV, you want to clear that virus. It's like saying you have HIV, you want to clear that virus. And we'll talk about at some point during the Biden administration, again, when this vaccine was available to clear the virus, it didn't go through. So this idea of the effectiveness and safety of the vaccines is real science. We need to talk about it. And guess what? Not only are we going to have two big crises about the recovery of California over the next decade, but we're going to have to address the rising incidence of cancer. For the first time in my career, I've seen an 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old with colon cancer. The first time in my career, I've had a 13-year-old child in our clinic die of metastatic pancreatic cancer. We have to face this effectiveness and face reality. The good news is that we can do something about it. The good news now, there are effective therapies because we understand the science in such an immense way, including with AI today. So again, I'm excited about this next 4 years of bringing this information across, and not to scare the population, to say, look, we could lead the world in our innovation and using healthcare as a foreign policy um, um, around the world.